The dining room table was set for 12, all gleaming china and crystal that Mom had spent 3 days arranging. I sat between Uncle Robert and Aunt Helen, phone in hand, reviewing the user acquisition metrics that had come through an hour ago. 4.2 million new users in the last 30 days. Platform stability at 99.97%. Revenue projections exceeding Q4 targets by 340%. Ethan, can you please put that phone away? My mother said, her voice sharp with practiced disappointment. It's Thanksgiving. Family time. Sorry, Mom. I pocketed the phone, though my smartwatch continued vibrating with Slack notifications from my CTO. The Wall Street Journal interview was scheduled for Monday. I needed to finalize the talking points with our communications team before the weekend ended. Still playing with that app thing? My sister Lauren asked, adjusting the surgical mask hanging around her neck like a trophy. She just finished her residency at Johns Hopkins, and our parents had mentioned it approximately 47 times since I'd arrived. What is it? Some kind of social media knockoff? It's a financial technology platform, I said quietly. We're disrupting traditional banking infrastructure for... Oh God, he's using the startup buzzwords again, my brother Marcus interrupted, loosening his tie. Marcus was a corporate attorney at a white shoe firm, pulling in $400,000 a year and never letting anyone forget it. Disrupting, innovating, synergizing. Just say you're unemployed, man. It's less embarrassing. The table laughed. Even Grandma chuckled. Ethan's not unemployed, Dad said with forced patience. He's pursuing an entrepreneurial venture. We're all very supportive, even if it's not a traditional career path. Translation, we're humoring you until you give up and get a real job. How much are you making from this app? Uncle Robert asked, cutting into his turkey. Ballpark figure? I consider the question. Our Series D funding had closed 2 months ago at a $12.4 billion valuation. My equity stake was 34%, though after dilution and the employee stock option pool, my personal holdings were worth approximately $3.8 billion on paper. We weren't profitable yet, typical for high-growth tech, but our revenue run rate was approaching $800 million annually. We're still in the growth phase, I said, reinvesting everything into user acquisition and platform development. Marcus snorted. So nothing. You're making nothing. He's making experience, Mom said generously, passing the cranberry sauce. And someday, when he's ready to settle down with a real career, all this startup experimentation will look interesting on a resume. I was 31. I'd founded Nexabank 4 years ago with 2 co-founders from MIT. We'd bootstrapped for 8 months, living on ramen and coding 18-hour days in a cramped apartment in Palo Alto. Our Series A had been $15 million. Series B, $80 million. Series C, $300 million. Series D, $650 million. We were one of the fastest growing fintech companies in history. But my family thought I was wasting time. You know what Ethan needs? Lauren said, gesturing with her wine glass. Structure, benefits, job security, maybe something in healthcare administration. I could ask around at Hopkins. Or law, Marcus added. Plenty of firms would take someone with your technical background. Intellectual property law, maybe. You'd start at $200,000 easy. That's a wonderful idea. Mom beamed. Ethan, Marcus could introduce you to the partners at his firm. Wouldn't that be better than this stressful startup thing? My phone vibrated. Sarah Chun, our head of communications, Wall Street Journal, moved the interview to tomorrow. They want to break the valuation story, Sunday edition. Your call. I typed back, confirmed. Send me the revised talking points. Are you seriously on your phone right now? Dad's voice carried the edge of real anger. We're trying to have a family conversation about your future, and you're texting? Sorry, I said again. Work emergency. It's always a work emergency with you, Lauren said. That's what happens when you're at a startup. No boundaries. No work-life balance. You're basically on call 24/7 for a company that's probably going to fail anyway. 90% of startups fail, Uncle Robert announced, as if I hadn't heard this statistic 1,000 times. It's just mathematics, Ethan. The odds are against you. Robert's right, Dad said, setting down his fork with finality. Son, I'm going to be direct because I love you. This startup dream? It's time to let it go. You're 31. Your sister is a surgeon. Your brother is making partner track at one of the best firms in New York. What are you doing? Building something, I said quietly. Building what? An app that might make money someday? That's not a career. That's a hobby that's gotten out of hand. Dad leaned forward. I've been patient. Your mother and I both have. We supported you when you dropped out of that consulting job to pursue this. But 4 years? For years of instability and uncertainty? Enough is enough. Dad, quit wasting time and join a real company, he said firmly. Google is hiring. Facebook, Amazon. You're smart enough to get a job at any of them. Good salary, stock options, benefits. That's a real future. The table murmured agreement. Sage advice from the patriarch. My phone vibrated again. Sarah, Forbes also requesting comment. TechCrunch wants an exclusive. Bloomberg moving a feature for Monday. This is bigger than we anticipated. Ethan, Mom snapped. Put the phone away or leave the table. I stood, chair scraping against hardwood. Excuse me. I need to take this call. Of course you do, Marcus muttered. Because your little app is so important. I stepped onto the back porch, closing the door behind me. The November air was cold against my face as I dialed Sarah. The Wall Street Journal wants to go tomorrow, she said without preamble. Sunday front page, business section. Inside, Nexa Bank. The fintech unicorn disrupting traditional banking. They have evaluation numbers from a Series D. This goes public tomorrow morning. What's the angle? Company profile. Your background. The technology. Evaluation. Ethan, they're calling it the biggest fintech story of the year. Maybe the decade. I watched my family through the dining room window. Lauren was demonstrating some surgical technique with her hands. Marcus was laughing at something Uncle Robert said. Mom was refilling wine glasses. None of them had any idea. Do it, I said. Release everything. Full transparency. You sure? Once this breaks, your life changes. Privacy goes out the window. I'm sure. The article went live at 6 a.m. Sunday. I was awake. I'd barely slept when my phone started exploding with notifications. The Wall Street Journal headline read, Nexa Bank valued at $12.4 billion in Series D funding, emerges as fintech leader. The article was comprehensive. My background, MIT dropout, former management consultant, self-taught coder. The company's origin story, 3 founders in a Palo Alto apartment, building a banking platform designed to serve the underbanked. Our growth metrics, 47 million users across 23 countries, processing $89 billion of transactions annually. And buried in the third paragraph, CEO Ethan Morrison, 31, holds a 34% equity stake, making him one of the youngest billionaires in the technology sector with holdings valued at approximately $3.8 billion. My phone rang at 6:47 a.m. Mom, Ethan. Her voice was strange. Did you see? There's an article in the Wall Street Journal about someone named Ethan Morrison. It can't be you. Can it? It's me, Mom. Silence. The article says, it says you're a billionaire. That's a mistake, right? Some other Ethan Morrison. It's me. I repeated. Nexa Bank is my company. The valuation is accurate. More silence. Then, your father wants to talk to you. Dad's voice came through, carefully controlled. Son, we need to understand what's happening here. This article, these numbers, is this legitimate? Yes. You're saying you run a company worth $12 billion? $12.4 billion, as of the Series D close. Though valuations fluctuate based on market conditions, and you didn't think to mention this? His voice climbed. To your family? We've been sitting here for years thinking you were barely scraping by, and you're running a billion-dollar company. You never asked, I said simply. Every time I tried to explain what Nexa Bank does, someone interrupted with advice about getting a real job. We didn't, Dad sputtered. How are we supposed to know? By listening, by asking questions, by showing even minimal interest in what I was building instead of assuming I was wasting time. My other line beeped. Lauren, I have to go, I told Dad. We could talk later. I switched lines. Hey, Lauren. Ethan, what the fuck? My sister rarely swore. Johns Hopkins just sent a hospital-wide email congratulating me on my brother's success. I had to Google you to understand what they were talking about. I tried to tell you multiple times. You said I was using buzzwords. You said you were disrupting banking. That sounds like, I don't know, a Kickstarter project or something. It's a $12.4 billion company with 47 million users and operations in 23 countries. We're launching in Japan next quarter. Jesus Christ. She was quiet for a moment. Ethan, I'm sorry. We all are. We should have listened. Yes, I agreed. You should have. Marcus called next. Then Uncle Robert. Then Aunt Helen. Then cousins I hadn't spoken to in years. Everyone suddenly very interested in what Nexabank did, how the technology worked, whether we were hiring, whether I needed legal advice, whether I'd considered healthcare partnerships. The Wall Street Journal interview aired on their digital platform Monday morning. A 10-minute video segment where I explained our mission, our technology, our vision for democratizing financial services. The interviewer asked about my family. They're supportive now, I said carefully, though it took them a while to understand what we were building. That's not uncommon in the startup world. Most people don't understand what you're doing until you've succeeded. The key is believing in your vision, even when nobody else does. The segment went viral. 3 million views in the first 12 hours. My family group chat, normally quiet, exploded with messages. Mom, so proud of you, sweetheart. Always knew you'd do great things. Dad, son, we should have dinner soon. Discuss your success. Get your advice on some investments. Lauren, can't believe my little brother is in the Wall Street Journal. My colleagues won't stop asking about you. Marcus, bro, I was thinking about what you said about disrupting traditional finance. Really innovative stuff. We should collaborate. I didn't respond immediately. I was in back-to-back meetings, board presentation, investor calls, strategic planning with the executive team. That evening, Sarah sent me the media roundup. Forbes, the 31-year-old disrupting global banking. Bloomberg, Nexabank's meteoric rise reshapes fintech landscape. TechCrunch, how Ethan Morrison built a $12 billion company while his family thought he was unemployed. That last headline made me laugh. 3 days later, I finally called my parents. Ethan, Mom answered on the first ring. We've been hoping to hear from you. There's so much to discuss. Is everyone there? I asked. Your father, Lauren, and Marcus. We're all here. We wanted to talk to you about how I wasted 4 years on a startup that was going to fail. I said, about how I needed to join a real company, about how I should get a stable job with benefits. Silence. Ethan, we didn't understand, Dad started. You didn't try to understand, I corrected. For 4 years, I tried to explain what I was building. Every time, someone interrupted with career advice or statistics about startup failure rates. Nobody asked about our user growth. Nobody wanted to see our platform. Nobody cared what I was actually doing. We care now, Lauren said quietly. Because the Wall Street Journal told you to care. Because there's a valuation number that makes it real. But when it was just me, in my apartment, working 18-hour days, when I was trying to explain our mission at Thanksgiving, you laughed. We're sorry, Mom said, and she sounded like she meant it. We should have believed in you. You should have, I agreed. But you didn't. And now I'm sitting here wondering if you're interested in me or interested in what I've built. Marcus spoke up. Ethan, that's not fair. We're family. Family listens, I said. Family supports. Family doesn't spend 4 years telling someone to quit their dream and join Google. So what now? Dad asked. You're just going to cut us out? I thought about that. About the Thanksgiving dinners where they dismissed my work. About the countless phone calls where they questioned my choices. About the fundamental lack of interest in who I actually was versus who they wanted me to be. I'm going to set boundaries, I said finally. If you want to be part of my life, you need to accept that I know what I'm doing. That I don't need career advice or suggestions about getting a real job. That Nexabank isn't a waste of time. It's my life's work. We can do that, Mom said quickly. We'll do better. I hope so, I said. Because the Wall Street Journal interview was just the beginning. We're going public next year. IPO projected at $25 billion. Things are going to get bigger, more public, more complicated. And I need to know my family is actually supportive not just impressed by headlines. We are, Dad said. We will be. Son, we're proud of you. Genuinely proud. Then prove it, I said. Not with congratulations after the fact. With actual interest. With questions. With effort to understand what I do and why it matters. We talked for another hour. Carefully, awkwardly, honestly. It wasn't fixed. Trust doesn't rebuild in a single conversation. But it was a start. Later that week, I had dinner with Lauren. Just the two of us at a quiet restaurant where nobody recognized me. I really am sorry, she said over wine. I was so focused on my own career, my own achievements, that I couldn't see yours. I know. Marcus feels terrible too. Dad's been reading everything about Nexabank. Mom set up Google alerts for your name. I smiled slightly. Better late than never, I guess. What you've built, Lauren said, shaking her head. 47 million users. $12 billion valuation. Ethan, that's extraordinary. It's a start, I said. We're just beginning. What's next? Global expansion. AI integration. Partnership with 3 central banks. IPO next fall. I paused. And maybe, if we're lucky, changing how 2 billion people think about money and financial access. Lauren raised her glass. To my little brother, who turned out to be smarter than all of us. I clinked my glass against hers. To family, who's learning to listen. The IPO happened 14 months later. Nexabank went public at $27 billion, closed the first day at $31 billion. My family was there, front row at the NASDAQ opening bell. Dad cried when I rang the bell. Mom took approximately 800 photos. And when the Wall Street Journal asked for a follow-up interview about the IPO success, they asked one question that stuck with me. Your family didn't believe in Nexabank at first. What would you say to them now? I thought about Thanksgiving dinner, about the lectures and the laughter and the dismissive advice. I'd say thank you, I said finally. Thank you for teaching me that belief in yourself matters more than anyone else's approval. Thank you for showing me that success isn't about validation. It's about vision. And thank you for eventually learning to listen. The interviewer smiled. That's generous. It's honest, I said. They didn't believe in the startup, but they eventually believed in me. Sometimes that's all you need. The article ran the next day, another front page feature. My phone buzzed with a text from Dad. Read the article. You're right. We should have believed sooner. But I'm grateful you never stopped believing in yourself. I typed back, thanks, Dad. Want to have lunch? I can explain what we're building in Japan. His response was immediate. I'd like that. And Ethan? This time, I'll actually listen. Progress. Not perfect, but progress. And sometimes, that's the best kind of success.